Hey, Adam,
Geez,
one
why,
thing.
why do you think they call it bumpers, Gary?
I don't know.
Because they come at the beginning, at the end, like bumpers.
Alex, you're a marketing guy. Do you like that design behind Paul? Does that sweet logo thing look pretty cool to you?
Hey, I forgot to hit the record button.
Yeah, that's really professional, isn't it?
Well, this is a professional podcast.
I met her in a parking lot and was handed two little Yorkies. And the only person I knew that knew Yorkies was Paul. So I called Paul and said, Paul.
Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education and Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. Find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SoundCloud and subscribe today. Now it's time to get started with Sweet Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sweet Talk, our weekly podcast here at Idaho State University's Continuing Education and Workforce Training. I am Paul Dickey. I'm the apprenticeship coordinator here at Sweet. And as always, joining me is Angie Wilhelm, our marketing director. Hey, Angie, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm laid up. I broke my ankle, so I can't really tell you what it looks like outside, but through the blinds of my window, it looks like a beautiful day.
Excellent.
So quite jealous of you two that get to go out and enjoy it. We have a really special guest with us today. As some of you who may be listening to us recently, we are having a few nonprofits and food banks come on as the holiday season nears. Today we have a returning guest. We have Kia Shaw with the Idaho Food Bank here to talk to us about what her organization does around our area. Welcome, Kia. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and the food bank?
Absolutely. Thank you, Angie and Paul, for having us on today. Really appreciate it. Like Angie said, my name is Kia Shaw. I am the branch manager for the Eastern branch of the Idaho Food Bank here in Pocatello. I have been with the food bank for a little over 8 years, and I have learned in those 8 years that nonprofit work is super addicting, which is why I stay. And really what that means is there's always something going on. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. There's always something that's happening that needs to be taken care of or challenged or just worked through, and it's a whole lot of fun. And we're, like you said, we're getting ready for our holiday season and getting ready for a bunch of food drives and food distributions and fundraising events. So good times ahead.
So, Kia, thanks for coming on the show. And last time you were on, you talked about the percentage of people in the state of Idaho who have food insecurities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So currently, according to the Feeding America Map the Meal Gap data from 2022, which is the most recent data that is available right now, about 11.4% of the state of Idaho is considered food insecurity, and that's with our adult population. When we're looking at our kiddo population, it is over 14% of our kiddos are dealing with food insecurity. And really what that means is they have expanded their resources and don't know where their next meal is going to come from. And so that's the gap that we play in.
Okay, so go ahead, Angie.
Okay, thanks. With this, this could be, especially with the 2-year gap, there's been so much happening with our own economy, especially when it comes to prices of goods and services, including necessities such as housing, rent and mortgages for people who may have had like an adjustable rate, as well as the cost of groceries and even fuel to get to the grocery store. Have you seen an increase in the need of people utilizing the food bank with those increased costs that we've seen, not only throughout our own community, but throughout the nation as a whole?
Unfortunately, yes. Not only do we feel the same increases when we are purchasing food or even putting diesel in our trucks to go, to here and back again. We are seeing a lot of new families come through the food bank because we're actually a distribution center for the pantries that are in the communities, but we're not going to tell people, sorry, you came to the food bank, you don't get any food. So we actually have emergency food bags that are here. And we have seen an increase of folks coming here to us for that. But then also when we're talking to our partner agencies, they're seeing an increase of people every week. And the interesting is that the thing is that they're seeing an increase of new families who are younger families without children. And they have that dual income, but because of the cost of rent and insurance and fuel and groceries, it is really, really difficult, even with a dual income household.
Wow. So, Kia, on this, what is an emergency food bag? I've never heard that before.
So an emergency food bag is one of the two things that we do when we get food drive donations in. And what we do is our volunteers will sort the product or sort the food. We were checking for expiration dates. We're checking for, making sure if things aren't opened, they aren't already pre-used. And then we're also making sure that the food is safe and that food safety standards and guidelines. And what they'll do is they'll sort all that food that is acceptable into different categories. And then they will build an 8 to 10 pound bag of shelf stable food based on a couple guidelines with, so many cans of vegetables, so many cans of fruits, so on and so forth. And also obviously that varies based on whatever we have available. I'm in the food drive for it. I love when we do food drive bags though, or emergency food bags. Because depending on the volunteer, depends on how that bag is going to look. Some of our volunteers really make it a game and a competition as to who can build the best meal bag. So we have some that'll like make stir fry night, and they'll have everything in there to make, you can make stir fry with, or chicken pot pie, or whatever else they've thought of that day. And then we have other volunteers that just kind of go put the things in the bag so I can keep going on my day. And sometimes we pick up some interesting bags. We're like, we'll set that aside. We'll fix that one because I'm not sure what someone's going to do with olives and sweet potatoes and canned tuna. But the point of an emergency food bag is it's supposed to be help in this moment until we have a partner agency that is doing a distribution. And luckily in Pocatello and Chubbuck specifically, with the exception of the Benny's Pantry, one that's on campus for students and faculty, throughout the community, we have pantries that run Tuesday through Friday at various times of the day.
Okay,
Now,
excellent.
on this same note, I know in our community, in our school district, there is a backpack program for children who are food insecure to be able to take food home over the weekend. Are you guys involved with that?
Yep, that is actually a program from the Idaho Food Bank. And what this program is designed for, it's designed for little kiddos. So we're not talking about junior hires and high school, we're talking about elementary kiddos. And in this bag, it contains 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners, and a handful of snacks. And it's designed to help kiddos who are going home over the weekend, who are on the free and reduced lunch program, who don't have access to that program on Saturday and Sunday. And so that way, when they return to school on Monday, they don't have grumbly tummies trying to learn how to do math, because that was always fun, even with not a grumbly tummy. And so we work with about 75 different schools across our 16 counties to be able to provide that program. And this school year, our aim is to have distributed over 20,000 of those backpacks across those 16 counties.
Wow.
That's a lot. So, the food bank obviously is looking for donations, but what type of donations are you most looking for?
So currently, right now, we are ramping up, getting ready for our Thanksgiving distribution here in Bannock County. We partner with Cranksgiving, where they bring in the turkeys and we provide the shelf-stable food to be able to put on a massive Thanksgiving distribution for Bannock County residents here in Pocatello. So right now we're really focusing on that and working with a good handful of businesses to bring in very specific items. So we make sure that everyone has access to the same product. But even outside of that, one of the things that, a couple of things that we always are looking for are canned vegetables that are in low or no sodium, canned fruits that are in their own juices, and those canned proteins. And canned proteins can be anything from like canned tuna, canned chicken, canned salmon, but then also recognizing that non-meat protein is just as viable as meat protein. So having those canned beans and lentils and nut butters are very, very important to having a well-rounded, nutritious diet. Because one of the most important things of the food bank is we want to make sure that we're giving people food, but not just giving them calories. We want to make sure that we're giving them nutritious food. So that way we're not encouraging health problems that are already potentially running rampant in, different communities or an individual.
Okay. Now, what type of donations can you not accept?
So a couple things that we can't take due to food safety is the food storage items. So like those number 10 cans of like beans and rice and stuff, we can't take stuff like that because of its shelf life. We do accept expired food, and our general rule of thumb is about a 3-year window. But we want to make sure that the product hasn't been pre-tested. Fun story, every time we go through food drive, we do have to have the volunteers open the jars of peanut butter if they don't have the cellophane wrap around the lid, because inevitably at least one jar will have a finger or spoon swipe out of it. So we can't give that to somebody because we don't know what was used to take that swipe out.
Right.
So and that leads into we can't have things that have been pre-tested, pre-opened. We can't have items that have the cans that are bulging or rusted or severely dented, because that ruins the integrity of the can. And then home canned items we also cannot accept, because I'm sure grandma's salsa is fantastic. I have no idea what's in it or the conditions of the kitchen that it was made, so I cannot take it for food safety reasons. I mean, my mom's salsa is delicious, but I share it with my staff, not anyone else. But it's very basic items like that. We do accept homegrown produce, as long as it's just been picked and washed. We can't have it cut, diced, anything like that. And then also we do accept farm fresh eggs, as long as they are cleaned, and then the package needs to be labeled appropriately. And for that information, you can always call the food bank at 208-233-8811, and we can get to that.
Excellent, excellent. Now, we're having you on earlier this year than we did last year to give extra time for people to become aware of your program. But that leads to a question, because everyone is always hyper aware during the Thanksgiving or Christmas season, but what times do you suffer from lack of food donations and lack of volunteers?
So you are not wrong in that sentence. October, November, December are our 3 busiest months every single year. That's actually where we do over 50% of our fundraising. And when it comes to volunteering, at least here in Pocatello, those 3 months get filled up by August, usually at the latest, because everybody wants to come in and volunteer during those times. However, April through June, people are still hungry. People are still dealing with food insecurity. We are still moving a ton of food out of our warehouses across the state, but our volunteering and our food drives do tend to go down in that time period. And so that's one of those things that we are very much more aware of, and really pushing out information of like, hey, we need food, we need food drives happening, we need volunteers. And that's when we really try to go out and get new different volunteer groups to come in aside from our regulars.
Now, if someone was looking for information on the food bank, what are some of the sources to get the information on?
The best place to go, first and foremost, is our website, idahofoodbank.org. There's a whole bunch of information on there about even just like basic food insecurity information, what that looks like, about the food bank, any upcoming events that are going on across the state. Between in a couple weeks, the one in Southwest is happening. We have 3 events happening, 3 fundraising events happening across the state. We will be hosting one here in Idaho Falls that is a major fundraising event for the food bank. But also opportunities to volunteer are on our website. If you click the Get Involved button, no matter where you are in the state, we have 3 different locations: Pocatello, Meridian, and Lewiston. They all have calendars on there, so you can go on. It'll take you to our volunteer website that we utilize, and you can create an account and come in and volunteer. But if you wanted to come in and volunteer with your group, there is an option to do that as well, because we can only have so many bodies in the room. We do control that a little bit. But you can always just go in there and do the volunteer pledge with your group, and then whichever coordinator needs to work with that will reach out and kind of get that scheduled out with you.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of people that have food insecurities, but some of them also have pride. If someone has food insecurities, but they're a little, maybe don't feel comfortable coming, well, how would you convince them that it's okay to use your services?
So as somebody who has a struggle asking for help, and is very aware of it, I am very blessed to have a staff that knows that about me. And so they recognize when I really do need assistance and they just come alongside me. And I am forever grateful for them for that, because I know I have people like that in my life. And the fun thing is, I guarantee that anybody watching this has people like that in their life. You may be that person in somebody else's life. So the best thing that when we're talking about pride, we're talking about that feeling of shame, is take somebody with you. If you're the one who does not need the assistance, but you recognize it in somebody else that you know, take them with you. Doesn't matter if you need the help or not, but bringing somebody alongside you does so much more for your emotions and your own mental state, because no matter where you are in life, we're going to need help from somebody, or somebody has helped you already. It could have been little, it could be big, it doesn't matter. We can't go through life by ourselves. And so really bringing people alongside you is the best thing to do. And then if you go to a food pantry and you're the one who needs it, bringing a friend with you kind of gives you that sense of normalcy and that sense of relief, because I can guarantee you our partners across the state, they want to give you food and they want to love on you. That's all they want to do. They don't need to know your business. They don't need to know your drama. They don't need to know what got you there. They just want to make sure that you have what you need in this moment, because that's what they're there to do. And that's what they want to do to help. They're not going to ask a whole bunch of invasive questions. They're not going to ask, what your income is. You don't need to provide a pay stub. You don't need to provide proof of residency. You don't need to provide proof of citizenship. If you need food assistance, you just need to say so and go and ask. But bring a friend with you so you have that buddy to lean on and to help support you through it.
Excellent. And that leads to another question: is who can use your services?
Anyway, one of my favorite sayings is, I'm not here to play the food police. So if somebody's going to tell me that they need help, I'm going to believe them at that face value. I'm not going to put up a bunch of barriers and ask them for proof of residency, their ID, their proof of citizenship, their proof of income, the proof that they need food assistance, their budget, whatever. I'm not going to ask them for that. If somebody needs food assistance, that's what we're here to do. And we do run a couple different government programs through the food bank that are in addition to just the food bank program. So they are voluntary. They will ask, they are self-declared income eligibility, but there is no need to provide a pay stub or a bank account. None of that information is needed. It's just if a single person household makes less than $2,500 a month, they qualify for this program. So it's super easy. And again, it's in addition to what what they would receive on top of that.
So basically a family could use your services, or maybe a struggling student.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. So, now, how does the homeless fit into the food bank? I mean, do you provide support or food for the homeless, or is that some other different agency in the community?
We work with several different shelters and emergency feeding sites that serve the homeless population. But then again, also people can come here, and we try to have, not always, we try to have emergency food bags that are designed for somebody who is struggling with homelessness, because don't always have a can opener or a plate somewhere to cook something. So we really make sure that we're giving items that don't have to be cooked, that are easy open, that are easy meal kind of things in those bags as well. But here in Pocatello, we do work with Aid for Friends. Up in Idaho Falls, we work with the Idaho Falls Soup Kitchen, and we're actually getting ready to work with another rescue mission that's up in Idaho Falls as well. And I know across the state, we have various shelters and rescue missions that we do work with.
Excellent.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we are running down on time. So I know Paul had a question. We might have to pull that into the last one before we wrap up. This flew by.
Yeah, it always does. So one last question, and then I definitely want to give you an opportunity to give out some contact information again. What is the most rewarding part of your job?
The most rewarding part is any day I get out of my office. I love my team here. I love what I do. but it gets to the point that you see cans and pallets and doors and trucks, and I want to see the people that we're serving. I want to be with the neighbors that we're serving and the neighbors that are feeding those people. And so anytime that we can get out and work with our partners, work with our food distribution, and actually be able to see the impact on neighbors' lives, that is my favorite day. And I guarantee you it's my staff's favorite day as well.
Excellent. Now, Kia, could you give you some more contact information one more time? I mean, I can't stress this enough. People who are listening to the podcast, there's a need out there, and Kia is providing a tremendous service for our community. So, Kia, could you provide that information again?
Absolutely. If you go onto idahofoodbank.org/getfood, that'll bring you right to our food assistance locator. So no matter where you are in the state, you can put in your zip code or your city, and within a 25-mile preset radius, it'll tell you when and where any food pantry is doing a distribution. So please utilize that if you or anyone you know is dealing with food insecurity. And if you want to play with the food bank and do something fun and crazy, my team down here in Pocatello is always down to do stuff like that. Best way to get a hold of us is either stopping on by the warehouse at 555 South First Avenue, or you can call our office at 208-233-8811. My extension is the branch manager extension. I'd love to talk with people and see what kind of fun things they want to do with us.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Kia, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And it's such an important service that you provide. And we want to try to help you get this message, out into the community, because again, there are people out there that definitely are suffering from food insecurities and need the help.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul and Angie, both for having me on today. I really appreciate the opportunity to share about this work.
Excellent. Now, if people were interested in what programs that we provide, they can check out our webpage at cetrain.isu.edu. You can give us an email at cetrain@isu.edu, or give our office a call at 208-282-3372. And remember, this podcast is how we connect with people like Kia in the community. So if you appreciate the content that we provide, please like, share, and subscribe. We do appreciate it, and be safe out there.